Hello, welcome to the Peter Repeater episode 33. I want to be able to talk and it be entertaining for me and interesting and feel like I'm making the most out of this quarantine lockdown situation that we're in at the moment. I want all of that to be true. But there's one little caveat. There's me talking. And that's the real hurdle for this podcast to become interesting. I just need to be able to talk in an interesting way. And I'm trying, on top of all this, to try and get this podcast on my Twitter. There we are. Let's share that. Not Joe Rogan. He's the podcast king. He doesn't do this. He has a streamlined setup and he has people that tweet for him, no doubt, and everything's all running smooth. And meanwhile, I'm just here with my phone, just looking down, not concentrating, just tweeting to fake followers that I've got through this "you follow me, I follow you" website. So there's that to contend with. So let's just see if the link works. For him, no doubt. Yeah. And everything's all right. Smooth. I can hear myself and everything. Right, so yeah, this podcasting space is an interesting affair. I want to get into it. I want to get somewhere with it. Have a proper talk about stuff. I want to get some guests on my podcast. Talk about different things in the world. Talk about philosophy. Talk about science and all sorts. And talk about current events and talk about the world and just general interesting stuff. And that's what I want. That's what my podcast is aspiring to be. but I'm learning. The first podcast was just me talking for an hour and a half. I don't know how I do that. No idea. Something interesting must have been going on in my brain, but I don't know what was happening in that hour and a half. Next podcast, hour. And then I had a string of podcasts where I thought I would just do coronavirus updates, and it would be me looking down at my phone, just like not speaking properly and just reading out BBC News and just saying how many people died each day. And that was my style of podcast. And I watched it back and I was like, yeah, it's boring. I'm waiting for the interesting part to come. Waited for about a good 15 minutes, sat around with my family watching this, and the interesting part never came. So I'm really focusing on trying to get this podcast interesting, and it's difficult. It's just not, you don't see it very often. People by themselves talking and it be flipping interesting. Usually have two people talking together with a guest or something, and everything works pretty well. I need to watch my P's and Q's is the technique, because you can be quite harsh on the P and the Q, but then I'm not right up against the microphone here, so it might not really be an issue or an issue. I say issue, normal people say issue, politicians say issue. Anyway, so current events, what's happening in the world? Don't know. It's been the same every day for the last 4 years, 4 weeks, I don't know. Quarantine day 2458 billion. 2458, that is a number. But, you know, you get the gist of it. I remember growing up, and I start with this story, and then there's something in my brain saying, no, don't say that, that's really boring. But then I realised I've got nothing else to say. I started growing up thinking I was really clever, being able to read numbers and look at some digits and think, oh, 452. Screw you. And everybody's like 452 or 4,500.2, and yeah, next level stuff. I got some pretty interesting things happening in my mind growing up in school, thinking I was good at maths. I really thought the world of myself, and when the teacher asked the class, "Oh, what do you remember what we did last lesson?" Class full of people, no one really put their hands up, and I was sick the previous day, so obviously I had no right to put my hand up. I put my hand up because I thought, oh, we usually do number bonds or something. We usually count to, we usually go up in tens. That's something that we do quite often. Let's just put my hand up and say that. And then somebody else gets picked, of course, because I wasn't flipping there the previous day. And then they talk about it, and it was exactly what I was going to say. So there's me thinking, yep, I know the answers to things I can't possibly know the answer to. I can do multiplication, I can do addition, I can tell the past when I wasn't there to witness it. Not quite time travel, but it's pretty much Einstein level stuff. So that happened in year 2, and I just, ever since then, my mathematical abilities were definitely bigger in my head than anyone else's. And now I realise, okay, school's over. I don't do maths. What was that all about? What was all that maths about? Why did that matter? And the truth of it is, well, it didn't. I've got some pieces of paper now for qualifications, and I've got a crazy amount of time in this quarantine doing absolutely nothing. And I'm bearing in mind, I'm getting influenced by these comedians, Joe Rogan and his friends living in this Los Angeles, doing their own podcasts and everything. And I'm getting influenced because I realise sometimes it's funnier to swear, and I just really tempted to swear. And I know that one day I'm just going to be swearing, effing and jeffing, you know, factoring and dividing the words up into ruder partitions to make effort and stuff. But I just think you can be funny without swearing, and I don't know whether I just like to think that it's family friendly comedy. I like to watch stand-up comedy of myself, because obviously that's what I'm going to do in my jobless world in quarantine. Yeah, the unemployment and being quarantined, they are one of the same thing. I am not working and I'm in quarantine. They're not independent to each other. Let's just get that on the table. I'm not working at the moment, and there's a quarantine. They're one of the same thing. Practically, not working because I'm on quarantine, and I don't, just get this straight. It's not because I didn't have a job to begin with. Now that's not the point. That's not the point. Let's nip that in the bud. I'm a student. I was a student. I am a student. We're all students here. Safe zone. My student card says end of the summer. Finish in January. Student card, end of the summer. That's good. Student, enrollment, September. Stretch of time of 8 months. That's not unemployment. That's student extension into the mindset. I just want to nip that in the bud. Not unemployed, student in quarantine who's not currently studying. Let's nip that in the bud. Yeah, so stuff like that. So it's just trying to talk about podcasty stuff, and I've got to bring up some stories here. Most embarrassing moment of my life. Don't know. I know that I had an accident in the toilet, and it was my first time using a urinal, and it must have been, I must have sat down to go to the toilet my whole life, because I had no business using a urinal with my accuracy, confidence levels. Maybe the toilet, I have, I can get 80% of it in the lid and 20% of it, in the toilet. my accuracy's all over the place. I can get most. If you fill up a jug, half the jug's on the floor, half the jug's in the toilet sort of situation. I was pretty accurate as a 4-year-old in the toilet department. Thank you very much. Standing up in for a wee. Just to say. But when I used a urinal, the place that the wee falls into was at ground level. And obviously my waist is several feet above that. Several feet at 4 years old. It's a good distance. And my shoes and my trousers are quite, in that sort of area, going for the wee in the toilet. So just to say, I had no business using that urinal. And I did get the hang of it. I'll be honest with you. I did it, second time. I knew where the wee was supposed to go. First time, I just thought, this wee isn't going in the toilet. It's going on my shoes right now. Well, I'm going to panic. And I'm going to continue weeing. And, you don't realise how absorbent your trousers are. But, urinal, dry as a bone. My trousers soaking. So I had to speak to someone and just missed a little bit, and so I was just dripping along where I'm walking, just tiptoeing along with a trail of wee behind me. And I just have to realise that I need to focus on the toilet and stuff like that. But because of that, they got me into the lost property and thought, let's get you a nice pair of trousers, we could even upgrade your trousers, get you something sensible, something that you can show off to your friends and you won't notice it, like here's a blue skirt. I don't know why it's blue, but it was a skirt. It might as well have been pink. It was a skirt. I am a male. I am XY chromosome. I am gender male, not female, not a boy, definitely a boy, a girl, no, not a girl, a boy. Basically, I wear trousers. That's the cool thing. I don't know about kids nowadays. This was pre-social media. I wore trousers. I was a boy. I was wearing a skirt and plimsolls. Worst day of that week of my life, let's just say. Obviously I've had worse things happen to me, but let's just think, I didn't poo in that pool. Let's just just hands up, I didn't poo in the pool. Okay, I needed the toilet before I went in the swimming pool. We were on holiday, and I had some tummy troubles in the pool. I swam to the edge and everyone was screaming, running out of the pool, and the pile of floating feces specimen there was in the exact location where I once was in that pool, and they had to fish it out, and there's no evidence that was me, because my whole family recounts it and knows it was me. There's just no evidence, because here's the thing: when you go for a poo, it happens behind you. You are not looking, so you can't see. If you can't see, it doesn't happen. Anyway, funny times. But that's just a little something about not pooing in a pool and not weeing on my trousers and not wearing a blue skirt with plimsolls. There's some things that are really bad, and one of the bad things in life, two bad things I can think of that have got a similar feeling when you do them. Number one, forgetting your towel when you go into the bath or the shower. You forget your towel. You don't have a towel. What are you meant to do? Dry yourself with your socks? No, you don't have a towel. What do? Hope someone hears you. Oh, and when they do hear you, Okay, open the door. Yeah, don't look at my stuff. Just give me the towel. Yeah, let's just, move around my waist a little bit. Let's just give me the towel. Quickly. Oh no! Why did you just make me throw that towel across the hallway? Get it? And then I start running around the house, just panicking. I don't have a towel. Where's a towel? Everyone's throwing towels at me, and I've got several underwear on my left arm. I'm just fishing it down in the washing basket, looking for anything knicker on the right arm. Towel, galore, and then I reach for a towel, put it around my waist. All that 20 minutes was a close call for me. Showing myself there, but yeah, that's what happens when you don't have a towel. So that's one thing: forgetting a towel, going to the bathroom, and someone has to give you a towel, like I've described. And then the other bad thing, similar thing, forgetting your PE kit at school, because PE is the best lesson. You forget your PE kit, you cannot do that lesson in the same easy way. And I actually got a knee injury, an anterior cruciate ligament 20% tear and cartilage torn, because I was not wearing the right shoes and I got tackled. And I like to think that is because of the PE kit, but it's probably because I don't do rugby. Anyway, so forgetting your PE kit at school, it's worse, and you just have to put on some, sort of damp, smelly, worn 1,000 times, washed twice sort of clothes, and you just put it on, and you're like, yeah, I'm wearing clothes now, and they're not the usual PE kit, and everything's not symmetrical, not the right colours, and everyone knows that I've got my PE kit, and it's embarrassing. And that's if you're lucky. The worst thing is forgetting your PE kit and having to go do another subject. What's that? How do you do it? I can't do the splat sound. Anyway. And I didn't have to do mime. Basically, you go and do some English. PE, Friday afternoon, whatever it is, best time of your life, the best time of the week. You look forward to this stuff. You think, PE is on Friday. If I just do the Tuesday and just go about my business, get my maths out the way, and then go through the Wednesday, and then Thursday I'll be on the Thursday, and it'll just be the next day. And all things considered, everything. What should my P's and Q's here? A penguin. Penguin. Yeah, what should my P's and Q's? I don't know what that means. But basically, you go and you're all revved up to do this Friday afternoon PE. And here's some English. Let's just go to another room and let's just join another class and let's do some English. And I say English because it is the worst subject. It is an enabler of boredom and to speak. But I learnt to speak before I was bored in class. So those things are considered to be of something interesting. My phone likes to give me notifications. I have been notified that my Instagram is. I was just saying to my because I went into because I didn't like my job. I thought I need to be a photographer, so I went around following and liking people's photos to try and get follows and likes back, and it worked. It took me like a couple of months of hardcore liking and following. 100% worth it. And then now I've got like some people followed, and it's all good, and then I get a few more likes than I did, and then I said today, I was like, I'm not sure if I can cope with the amount of likes. And my mum rightly said, "Wait, you you're never satisfied because you weren't getting enough likes. Now you're getting too many." Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little bit daunting. It's just getting likes and stuff. Didn't grow up getting likes. That's why I'm on YouTube really, because I find likes daunting. That's not true. You know, I try this podcast. I want it to be a success. I want people to watch, but then I realise that if people do watch, I'm going to start to freak out. So there you go. At the time of recording, nobody necessarily is watching right now. It's live, but one day I'll have a couple of people watching, and then I'll be, oh, this is cool. Let's go hi. Got a very nice comment. Okay, so yeah. Let's think of something else. If I had to do school again, how would I do it? I feel like I was quite reserved. I didn't do anything outside my comfort zone. I stayed in my comfort zone quite a lot. I didn't, be outgoing and try new things and be funny and stuff. I probably should have made more jokes. If I was to do it all again, I would make more jokes. I'd worry less about getting in trouble with the teacher. Like, if I'm not going to be the class clown, I'm going to be the class, semi-professional stand-up comic is the idea here. So if I was to do school again, I would make jokes, like if something in the classroom was funny, because obviously I was silent the whole time during lesson, and then the odd time I was talking and everyone being told to be silent and I was still talking, and I was like, Peter, and everyone's like, ooh, no he didn't, and then Peter just said something out of turn and everyone's like secretly impressed. What I should have done if I was to do school again, with my 22-year-old brain inside a 12-year-old year 7, what I would do is I would make jokes, I would think. So like if the teacher said, I don't know what they would say, I would just like interrupt the class and just say something funny, and it'd be contextual, and it'd be like, yeah, you had to be that Peter in that lesson. It's just so funny, that little hint of sarcasm. You can be subtle about it. Let me give you an example. So the teacher says, does anybody want to read their does anybody want to read from the book? And I would say, no, we don't, we're all bored. and I would just say that, and oh, it's funny. So somebody said, I joked during lessons and got kicked out of my course. Yeah, mate, this is me going back in time with my joking. You sort of wish what you didn't do, really, because I was very silent, reserved, didn't make any trouble, and did homework and didn't cause a fuss, while other people like living life and in some sense, like the popular kids that people think about, the people that are outgoing and stuff, I wouldn't say that they're necessarily, better than the other people. They're just, for whatever reason in their life, they're just more reserved. They're more not reserved. They're more confident in themselves and can feel like they can speak freely, and of course that attracts, because when you've got that person who can talk in the class and is funny or something, it just attracts other people to sort of like them. Because even though I never misbehaved myself, I enjoyed when other people misbehaved. There was something funny about that. So there's something truly valuable in making a lesson interesting, I feel. So, but I didn't ever get kicked out of a course. I got grades. But what does it lead to, eh? I'm in my parents' house, in my bedroom that I've been in since I was 3 years old, and I'm here talking to a camera with a 0 audience. Well, I can't say that now, thanks to my my viewer now. But yeah, I've done 30 podcasts with 0 people watching, and it's just crazy. No, it's not good. That's terrible. Oh dear, not good when you're 3 months from finishing law. Sorry about the delay of this podcast. It's like I'm reading it a bit later, but not good when you're 3 months from finishing law, and now you have to do it for another 2 years. No, horrendous. Anyway, that's devastating. I can't cope with that. I think that's just the way life is at the moment. Just people are hating on each other, and I don't know. It's not fair. You should be allowed to do stuff. Like, one example is, which was pretty cool. There's a guy in my school who was funny and confident, and one of these popular guys, and then he like jokes around in lesson, gets kicked out of the lesson, and then the really serious head teacher walks by the corridor and sees this kid outside the lesson, and then this guy, I won't say his name, Mr. Something, just walks over to the kid and is like chatting with him. So, oh, what happened? I talk too much, making jokes. It's like, oh, that's cool. Like, just talking, chilling, not telling him off. Just like, yeah, I used to talk too much, way too much at school as well. It just happens sometimes, and just understand each other. I just think it's pretty cool. My aim of this podcast was to lose track of time, and not try and talk myself into the ground. I know what time I started, so I haven't been talking. Do I know what time? Yeah, I do. I'm going to check Twitter, and I'm going to get depressed because I try and keep it a similar length each time. Yeah, it's good news for my viewers, bad news for me. I've got to keep on talking about something. So let's think. The funniest, one of the funniest things that I've done in class, I have probably this is like the potential with my comedic mind. I'd think so much in my mind but never say it, and I'd look at like the people messing around in class and I'd be like, oh, yeah, that's funny, but really it's not that creative. It's usually the people that misbehave the most aren't the funniest when it comes to their jokes and stuff. But I feel that yeah, and then the funniest I ever got was just somebody said something rubbish, and I don't know what the context was, and then I mouthed the word wow. I was like, wow, like sarcastically, and my friend from the other side of the class saw, and she was like laughing hysterically. And I should be doing more of that in my life. But I suppose, yeah, I don't maybe there is something in just being boring and going through life. But if your life was boring and you got all the grades and you got all the jobs and you got all the money and everything, doesn't mean that your life's interesting and you don't have a good story. What you want to do is tell someone and somebody to have a reaction about your life. Like if you tell people, oh yeah, I study. I'll do the American version. I got my I graduated from high school and I got the top grade, and I got into Harvard, and then I did my undergraduate in 3 years, and then I got top of the class, and now I'm studying for a master's, then I'm going to do my PhD, and then I'm going to be a professor. And then if you do everything by the book perfectly, you're just some old professor talking about some, very, niche part of some sort of physical science, biology type stuff, and you're just sort of wrapped up in the theory, and you're tutoring to everyone, you're lecturing, and then everyone's watching you, and they're like bored and they can't hear you, and they just think, this guy, I'd rather watch paint, stay damp on a wall. Now that's the question. So I was just saying, having an interesting life, I think, is valuable. I don't know why it is. I just like to think I've had an interesting life, and if I told people about it, they'd be like, "Oh, haven't you done really well? You managed to create a YouTube channel." Anyway, I don't know. That having an interesting life is good, but yeah. Yeah, is my life interesting? I got I got asked by my friend. He just comes out and says, is life worth? Can you achieve anything? Or just very conceptual about, is life ever worth it? When you're gonna die anyway, sort of thing. I was like, and I was tapping away, saying, well, if you make the most out of life, and you influence people, and you leave a legacy, and then on your deathbed, even though you're going to be dead and it won't matter to you, you can just look back in your life and just be content, and you can be slightly more satisfied when you die, sort of stuff. So it does matter a little bit, but it's interesting because sometimes you just live and you go through life, but you don't ever stop to think, am I actually making the most of it and contributing in any way? I don't know. It's hard. It's also easy as well, but you can just let the years float by, do the job, pay the rent, get a mortgage, leave an inheritance, and then you're dead. I just wish sometimes I would do something different out there, just risk it all. If I went travelling for 10 years and I was broke compared to, and seeing the beauty of the world, seeing everywhere, from Himalayas to jungle to different communities, and seeing the world and learning languages and everything, if that was your life for 10 years and you had no job at the end of it and you had to start from scratch when you got home, if that was your life, compare that to the person who does an office job, who does the same 4 things in their day every day for 10 years, and it might get really exciting at one stage and you change one of the boring things for another boring thing, so you become valuable to the company, and you do that for 10 years, you've got a job, and now you're trapped in a job and you've got a mortgage, and if you're really lucky, you've got a family feed, so you better not give up your job, you better stay in that job. And that is a worse outcome in my view, even though in life it's more successful to have job, money, family, mortgage and everything. I think being stuck in an office, having to do work every day, it's meant to be success, but I just think it's boring. You've got to live an interesting life, and I haven't figured out how to do that really. There's this Japanese belief, I don't know what it's called, but it's an idea about the 4 things you need to satisfy to have satisfaction in what you do. One thing is you've got to be good at it. There's got to be a need in the world for what you do. You've got to enjoy it, and you've got to get paid for it. And if you do those 4 things, so you like what you're doing, you're good at it, there's a need in the world for it, and you're getting paid for it, brilliant. You're liking what you're doing, and it's useful to the world, and you're getting paid for it, and that's what you need. And if I look at the job that I did for over a year in an office, that I try not to berate too much, but I dislike it a little bit. So in that office job, when I was copy and pasting and writing emails and going to the toilet to waste time and everything like that, in that job, I wasn't good at it. I didn't like it, but there was a need for it, vaguely, and but then I realised that I didn't do much, so they could do without me. So maybe not. So I didn't have those three things, but I did get paid for it though. You know, I managed to buy stuff off Amazon sometimes and pay living expenses. But obviously, Corona times, we're living a different life, and as I keep reiterating, quarantine, me staying at home, not working, those are two things. They're basically in the same breath. They basically are intertwined. It's basically like I'm on furlough sort of thing. It's not because I don't have a job anyway and there's quarantine happening at the same time. It's not that. It's not a coincidence that I'm here talking by myself in my room on a Tuesday afternoon. That's not coincidental. It's a a understandable quarantine situation, so I can really relate with everyone. I'm just making rubbish up now, but yeah, it is an interesting life. So I tried to keep these short and sweet. Tried to get better with every podcast. Tried to do it every day, and tried to have something interesting to watch. And I'll be honest, I haven't got to the stage yet where I watch my own video and it keeps my interest. I still find it boring the last time I watched a video of mine, but baby steps, So hopefully I can get to a stage where I find it interesting. But meanwhile, I'll just talk in my room, post it online, and then I will try and figure out how to make it interesting. And I think the key to it is to do it often, so hopefully I get better at it, but also to have guests, have like stand-up comedians and world-renowned scientists and authors on my podcast, and just basically be Joe Rogan and stuff. And what my ultimate dream, this would be the pinnacle of my life, crowning achievement of everything, would be to be on Joe Rogan's podcast, episode 2452 in 2031, featuring Peter Newing. That's a dream. So just to close out this podcast, I've got Instagram at Peter Newing, Peter Newing, and then I'm starting to post old photos on there. So that's Instagram, posting photos of like beaches and stuff and promoting this podcast on my story at the moment. But I feel bad, like, I'm posting photos of seascapes and everything, and I've got some followers, I'll promote it. Like, I'm relentless like that, but I got no reputation to uphold. I don't know, I'll just do it anyway. So yeah, so Instagram at Peter Newing, Twitter at the Peter Repeater with one R between Peter and Repeater, the Pete Repeater, and Twitter's rubbish. I don't do anything on there. I just link to these videos. And then YouTube, trying to, during the quarantine, trying to upload regularly, one a day. I was trying 2 a day and then I gave up for a week. So I'm trying 1 a day. Hopefully that'll last longer. And they're 40-minute podcasts live in the afternoon around similar time. And I'd say try some of the podcasts from 20 onwards, 20 to 30. Some of those are interesting, maybe. First 20 are pretty bad. First 2 are okay. You know, you might find something interesting to watch, but I'm happy that you're watching now. So there you go. Have I done 40 minutes? Let's go on Twitter. This is what Joe Rogan says, you know. Just have I done the allotted time? I don't. Yeah. I've done 40 minutes. Yeah. Thank you for watching. I appreciate the view. If you're here another day, hopefully your studying goes well, and you don't feel like you're a failure, because you're not. You're a true comedian, and that's more important. It probably isn't, but there you go. Thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting. Bye for now.